Welcome aboard. If you're here expecting some good content, then you're probably on the wrong channel. But if you're here to enjoy some fun, then, well, stick around and listen to my story of PAX East. And no, I won't be copying the entirety of the SpongeBob episode, so cue the lo-fi music. So you read the title right. I actually did go to PAX East in Boston, and I actually got home today. Well, actually, I got home yesterday. I did get home today, as it is Sunday, and I didn't get home until about midnight tonight, or midnight last night. And I gotta say, it was quite the interesting 3 days, to say the least. And boy, it was definitely one of those adventures that I probably will not be able to forget because of how extensive the entire convention is. And given that this is my third major convention that I've been to, it was just so much fun. For those of you who don't know, PAX is essentially a gaming convention. Right now, it is the biggest game convention that'll happen on a normal basis from here until, well, it decides to close its doors, because as we all know, E3 isn't around anymore. So PAX is basically taking up the place that unfortunately E3 couldn't take. Now, I didn't go to PAX alone. Obviously, I went with friends, if you saw the image in the little montage that I did in the beginning, just like the SpongeBob episode. I went with my friends who are part of All Ages of Geek. I am still affiliated and associated with them, and they are basically my best friends. They're all good people. They're all great people to work with. And without them, I wouldn't be able to go to this convention and do what I was able to do and talk about some of the moments that I'll be talking about in this video. And before someone mentions it, yes, my entire room got rearranged. You're not gonna see my curtains anymore. You're gonna see more back there, although I should probably close that door now that I think about it. Let's talk about day one of PAX, or let's really talk about day zero, the day before and the days before PAX East. PAX is the biggest convention that I've gone to, and hands down. I know Comic-Con and Anime NYC are both the biggest ones on the calendar, but something about PAX felt like far more than that. Well, you know, Comic-Con is a big pop culture festival essentially, and anime is the celebration of being a weeb. PAX is more so of a celebration of being a gamer, because it was just interesting. But in the days leading up to it, I had a hard time sleeping. Like, I am not kidding you. I just struggled to sleep for the days leading up to PAX. And it didn't help much either that the day before PAX, I couldn't sleep at all. I live in New York, so going to Boston means I have to take a bus or a train. Tat lives in New Jersey, so that means she has to take a longer trip to here, and she does not like New York. Muffson also lives in New York, so that means that essentially we're all gonna have to clump up together and take a bus all the way to PAX. So, commence day one. Day one started with me not sleeping. I couldn't sleep at all. I literally just basically slept on the bus, and even then I slept for like a cup of coffee because I really just couldn't sleep. Tad and I ended up meeting at Penn Station, and we went to go eat some breakfast at this place called Insomnia Cookies. Although really it was more so coffee than it was breakfast. For me it was breakfast, debatably, and for her it was coffee, because in my case I ended up having a ice cream cookie sandwich because I thought it'd be a good idea. And it's weird because in that moment I said that this is going to be my sugar intake for the entire weekend. That was a lie, but we did get to Boston, but we got there about an hour later than we would have liked, or around that time. We got there and we got off at South Station, we took our Uber, and then we got to our B&B. And our B&B was a lot further from Boston than I had anticipated. We were going to be living in Quincy, Massachusetts. So it was quite an interesting trip, to say the least, to basically go from one city to another, and we're gonna be living in the boondocks. Like, this was straight boondocks. Like, walking at night in the area was like walking in the Twilight Zone. It was so quiet, it just felt like something was about to pop out from the trees and just start kicking my ass for no reason. But we got to the B&B. It was about like a 20-minute drive because it wasn't too far, and not only that, traffic was running pretty smoothly. And I gotta say, the B&B was a really nice place. It was a nice home. It was a nice roof that we kept bumping into because we're all short, and the roofs were just, well, actually, it's not the fact we were short. It's just the fact that the roof was pretty short, and Our shortness just still didn't help. We were just so tall for the roof. We settled down at our B&B, and then we decided to go to PAX. And then we got to PAX. We had that first picture that you also saw at the beginning of the video. And then this moment happened.
Scallon here, professional game journalist, and I'm at PAX East.
That's Rob Scallon.
Hi, we're releasing a game.
Really?
Yeah.
Your eyes are not deceiving you. I got to meet Rob Scallon at PAX East. I never thought in my wildest imagination that I would ever see him. This man is the reason why I got into playing bass. He's the reason why I became a musician. He basically is my teenage idol. Like, he was there. His content was just there for me in those times where I wanted to learn more about music and being a musician, especially in a time where my music taste was just thrash metal, because that's all I listened to in high school was just Slipknot and Metallica. That's literally all I listened to for about 2.5 years. Getting to meet him was just almost an otherworldly experience, and in all honesty, it felt like the convention just peaked right there. Like, I could just leave and go to New York and just say, yeah, that's it. I peaked. I literally got to meet Rob freaking Scallon, someone who is basically one of my musical idols. And it was just awesome. But the day doesn't end there, because we ended up interviewing a lot of people. We interviewed roughly 30 to 40 people in the time frame of about 3 days. And day one, we interviewed about 10, maybe 11, which is not bad. I think it was pretty good, especially given that we got to the convention center at around like 2 o'clock. And given like the circumstances of things, it was pretty good. It was still fun for what it was, and we kind of thought that, you know, there wouldn't be that much. But given the time, and not only that, people were very patient, like all the people who had their booths up, it was pretty easy to get through. Now, I will say, this is something that I should probably mention. PAX isn't like E3. It is the replacer of E3, but it's not like E3. E3 at one point was kind of like this big gaming convention where you saw some of the best, but you get to see some of the indies and the up-and-comers. PAX felt like it was the biggest independent gaming festival of all time, and I'm all for it. The fact that there were so many indie games that we saw, that we got to review, that we got to interview, that we got to play, and only that I will be playing after this video is done, and after I finish recording essentially all of this, is what I'm going to be doing is just playing all of the indie games that I interviewed and that I went through everything. Sorry for the burp. There's just so much to cover, and there's just so much to play, but like, I am so happy that PAX isn't going to be going in the direction that E3 went, that they're instead going to be focusing hard on all of these indie developers from all over the world and just promoting gaming. It's amazing. Not much really happened in day one besides all of that. Just the interviews, eating some food, which brings into the end of day one, which was a adventure all in itself that almost caused the co-founder of All Ages Geek to die from hypothermia. Okay, so here's what happened. So we headed out around 6:30. We kind of did our thing and we interviewed everyone we wanted to interview. So we said, all right, let's go home. And also, let's go eat, because we hadn't eaten anything all day besides me and my ice cream sandwich, and Muffson couldn't eat because it was Ramadan. So it's very difficult for him to eat because he can't. It's Ramadan.
This is a quick fourth wall break to mention that if anybody's wondering why I didn't eat when I was around Muffson, it's more so because I respected his religion because it was Ramadan. I would have felt like a total asshole if I would have been eating around him. So just letting you know about that ahead of time.
So we were trying to figure out all the places that we could find to go eat, and unfortunately the only places that we could find around was Dunkin' Donuts, because Dunkin' Donuts is literally the capital of Massachusetts at this point. So we just went, we don't want donuts and we don't want bagel sandwiches, so let's just find out somewhere to eat. So we got on the shuttle bus and we went to this place called Dave's Spicy Chicken. If that's a Boston-based thing, I just gotta say, you Bostonians know how to make chicken, because good lord, that chicken fucking banged. For $30 or close to $30 worth of food, I was able to eat twice on one day. We all had enough food to last me a second day. I saved money because the chicken was that good and it was plentiful. So whoever worked there at that Dave's Chicken in Boston, you guys make some good food, and boy, Dave's Chicken, wow, that shit's good. But then this is where the narrative changes a little bit. So we got on the train. There was the Red Line, or I think it's called the Red Line, on Boston, and we decided to go south because that's where we were going. and we got off on our stop around Quincy Adams, and unfortunately, we got lost. I should mention this. It was cold this weekend. It was as cold as about 30 degrees in Boston in midnight. It was fucking freezing. And for a reason that I can simply explain as women problems is just Tat didn't want to bring her jacket because, you know, she didn't want to lug around a jacket when it is 30 degrees in one of the coldest states in the entire East Coast, Massachusetts, you know, the same place that has harbors. And look, it was really, it's funny now, but at the time it made me go, Tat, why didn't you bring a coat? It's Boston, it's cold, just get a fucking jacket with you. And believe me, I dogged in her about it on day 3, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna say, why did you out me like that? Because women problems don't make sense. Just bring a coat or a sweater with you next time. It's not a fun thing to hear on the news that a founder of a company is dead because they didn't bring their jacket, lol. But how we got lost was simply the fact that we got off at the right stop. We just exited the wrong way. We were supposed to get off at around the 5th floor of a parking lot and then walk the rest of the way there. We didn't. We just found the exit and then we just went in an entirely different direction. And we got so lost that we had to Uber our way back home. And yeah, day 1 ended right then and there. So now it's day 2, and essentially day 2 was just nothing but interviews. And one of those interviews, we just go back to the beginning where it was Rob Scallon and we interviewed his game. Or we interviewed him about his game. My wording is not great. I just have to say it one more time. It was an honor and it was a privilege to meet Rob Scallon. He is a genuinely nice person. And not only that, I'm going to post an image, but he ended up signing my badge. I told him that if I would have known that he was coming to PAX, I would have brought my 1st of October Chaos cassette and I would have had him sign it, but he was willing to sign my badge. And it's just a memory I can never forget. Rob, if you're watching this video, all I have to say is thank you so much for your time. You are a genuine human being, and you are probably like, you are a great influence to all musicians out there. Like, from the weird and the wonderful of music, you are just the biggest inspiration ever. And I thank you again for your time. There were more interviews and there were more, you know, fun things to do. I ended up drinking a lot of coffee too. So if you're wondering why it looks like I have not a lot of energy, is because 3 days of coffee is not good for me. I am so used to drinking it every Sunday that having to drink it on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it definitely made me crash. And no, I didn't have any coffee today because I'm pretty sure my heart would fail at this point. But Thursday was generally an interview heavy, no, not Thursday, but Friday was a very interview heavy day. If I mentioned that Wednesday was the day that we got here, no, PAX started on Thursday. It's Friday now, it's day 2, we're on Friday. But after all the interviews and all the things that were happening, Tat decided that she wanted to go home because she had tapped out before the convention even started because Penn Station was already stressful enough. The bus ride was even more stressful. And the fact that she almost froze to death, she was already tapping out by the time we were freaking starting the second day of everything. So she headed out, and then it was just me and Muffson for a little while. We did some of our last interviews, and he headed out as well. And then it was just me, where I basically went to a concert that had the... Oh God, I forgot their names. It was a string quartet. It was a string quartet. It was a saxophone player whose name I can't remember, and I'm upset about that. A drummer that had a whole group and everything, and a rapper that had his own thing and own whole thing as well. Scout2 Network was there too, and I feel like I should remember these names, and I feel like a dick that I don't. Okay, so here's the people that were there, and I accidentally killed my recording on accident, so whatever. So it was Insane in the Rain, Mega Ran, the Videri String Quartet, 88-Bit, who was playing piano, Dom Palombi, and Don Palombi's Game Night, and Scout2 Network, and a bunch of other people who participated in it. It was a lot of fun. Everyone there was a great musician, and it was just a fun night. Until I had to go home. Alone. In Boston. The city that I grew up to hate, being a 4th generation Yankee fan.
It wasn't that bad as I expected. It actually was pretty easy, but it was just a little uncomfortable. I say it was uncomfortable because I am not used to going home in places that I'm not familiar with. I don't mind taking an Uber, but in this one case, I was just like, I want to be economic and save money, so let me just take the train home. And I could have gotten home about a half hour earlier if I didn't miss my train by literally a minute. Or I literally just missed it. I went to go take the train and I got to the station. It said it was closed. I got panicked and then I eventually just went to the other entrance. It was open, got my ticket, and then I got to the station and I got off on the wrong stop. I didn't get off at the wrong stop. I went down the stairs and I was at the wrong place. Went back up the stairs, went back down. I'm on the platform of the other side of the train. So I had to run around and get to the other side of the platform to catch the train, and it left as soon as I got there. So I had to wait about 20 minutes for the next train. But nonetheless, I was able to get home pretty safely, and I was able to go the right directions this time. And it was very weird to walk in the night of Boston because this is, or not even Boston, it is very weird to walk in Quincy because this is essentially what you see when you're walking home at 1:30 in the morning in the middle of nowhere in the boondocks of Massachusetts. So to give you an idea of what it's like walking in the suburbs of Boston, nothing but houses, and it's so quiet that it's actually making me nervous. Like, I'm from the Bronx, like, it's never this quiet, and I feel like I'm gonna be on my toes at all time. I like that it's quiet, but it feels so quiet that you can't even hear, like, barely, there isn't even no wind. It's just kind of nerve-wracking. I'm glad I only get to stay here for like 2 or 3 days for PAX, because if I had to stay here my whole life, I'd hate walking home by myself. So after all of that was over, I went to sleep. I only slept for about 4 or 5 hours or so, and then we basically headed out of our Airbnb. We ended up packing up all of our stuff. We stuck them in cages in the convention center. We did a lot more interviews, and also I had more food to eat, which we ended up having Starbucks, because of course Tat and I would have Starbucks. Honestly, she's gonna make me a coffee addict. I have a feeling that she's gonna make me addicted to coffee. I don't want to be addicted to coffee. I'd rather be a once a week person. But with her, it's like I gotta be a 3 to 4 a day person. But we did more interviews. We had more fun. It was raining as well, so that's gonna bring up some things as well. And it was a lot of fun. And then we had to head out and we did our last bits of recording. And then we headed out. We got our Uber, and then we got there to the point where we almost missed our bus back home to New York. I'm not kidding. Our whole trip was total chaos. It was cold on Thursday. Friday I got home super late, and then on the day that we were gonna leave, we damn near missed our bus and almost got stranded in Boston. If we were there a minute or two later, we would have been absolutely fucked. But we managed to make the bus and we got home safely. It was raining so hard when we got to Rhode Island that we were kind of concerned that this bus was going to be involved in a bad traffic accident. But luckily, we ended up getting home safely. We all got home safely. Tat got home safely, and I'm here, and I'm still alive, and I'm here retelling my story of PAX East. It was just mostly nothing but interviews. I got to meet a big YouTuber. I also got to see Bob Wolf. I didn't actually get to say hi to him, but I did see him off in the distance on Saturday, so at least there's that. And it was a lot of fun. I got to, learn more about gaming and more of the industry. And yeah, guys, support indie gaming. We all know AAA gaming and Quad A gaming is just gonna fall off the edge. I mean, AAA gaming's already there. Quad A hasn't even happened yet, and already we all know that shit's just gonna die faster than a freaking goldfish in its memory. But when all of those videos come out on the All Ages Geek channel, you guys are gonna see just a whole ham fist of just a bunch of indie games that'll be worth playing and worth a try. I mean, just support these indie devs, because honestly, indie gaming is probably the best way to make it, to just basically tell these big companies that if you could put your heart and soul into a games, we'd be actually willing to pay for it and play it for a long extended periods of time, instead of shoveling out these multi-million-dollar projects that were done by slave labor that are half-assed, and the only way that they make money is through microtransactions. I'm looking at you, Call of Duty, because you really fucked up. But nonetheless, that was my PAX experience. Yes, it's quite a short story, but it wasn't going to be a long one.
Hopefully we go for 4 days next year, but it was still a lot of fun. I want to thank you guys so much for sticking around for the story time. I know this is a bit of a different format, but this is something that is going to be along the lines of where you're going to hear from me, because every time I do all these videos that is going to be basically story time related, or even something along these lines of where you're going to see me and, you know, not my gaming footage, this is kind of how things are going to be. So I thank you so much for sticking around to the end, and be sure to, you know, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know, I got to do this because of algorithmic reasons. But all in all, thank you for watching, and thanks for sticking around to the end. And I hope to see you guys in the next video, where I will be talking about WrestleMania 40 and my predictions and my review of it as well. See you then. Take care. Peace out, folks.